Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, County Council overrides County Executive Elrich on future metro development. Positive COVID cases increase in Montgomery County for 9th straight day, but hospitalization remains relatively flat. And our predictions about the election. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by the Dean of Democratic Politics, Sam Statland, President of the Chevy Chase Women's Republican Club, Laurie Halverson, and political strategist, Susan Heltemes. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. With just 5 days before the official election day, most of our show will be concentrated on political races and the ballot questions. But first, we need to address a couple of important local issues that will impact many in Montgomery County. Sam, the County Council this week challenged the leadership of County Executive Mark Elrich by overriding a veto regarding tax incentives for commercial development near metro stations by a very wide 7-2 margin. What message does this send about the governing relationship between the council and the executive?
Casey, usually I agree with Mark, but in this case, I'm going to deviate. I think that it's very wise to give incentives for commercial development, especially residential at our metro sites. We just spent an awful lot of money in Wheaton moving the parking planning there in a brand new building, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of residential area there for those people to move into or related businesses that may be there. So why not let's see what happens, and hopefully we'll get more development in Wheaton.
Laurie.
Yeah, I just wonder why they're trying to mess with an open market. I mean, if it was so desirable to have housing units around metros, then why aren't they doing it without incentives? It doesn't make sense to me why they're going to use very needed revenue for this purpose. They have a long-term goal on the county council, and it's to urbanize our neighborhoods. They've already shown that when they started, they passed ADUs, accessory dwelling units, where you can add a house behind your house. And there are incentives now that I'm hearing from the Biden administration to try to have those same goals to urbanize our neighborhoods. People want to come here with certainty. They want to know that they can buy a house where they can live near a good school. They want to know that they can keep their jobs here, but we're losing businesses. There's a lot of things going wrong here with this, and we need that revenue for other things.
Well, normally
I'd like to insert that ADUs are across the country because they make sense in a time like this when we have an aging population or young people who don't have housing of their home yet for a family. But it has always been the goal, I think, not only in Montgomery County, but across the country, to have multiple housing units above subway stations. People can use public transportation. They don't clog up our roads. And usually there's other development nearby where they can walk. So this is an interesting topic that isn't simply cut and dry.
Well, it's also about housing affordability. But I want to go on to our next topic because the county has experienced a sustained increase in the number of positive COVID cases over the last 9 days. But we haven't seen a corollary increase in hospitalizations or acute care demand. Dr. Travis Gales, the Montgomery County Health Czar, has signaled that he may need to take restrictive action. Is he overreacting? Susan?
Well, I think Montgomery County is watching cautiously what happened in Dorchester County, where they had to close their schools down because of increasing numbers. As of yesterday, we had 962 new cases, 2 deaths. The positivity rate is now 3.1%. And as the numbers go up, there is a corollary that hospitalizations go up and ICU beds go up. And our numbers are creeping up, which is really disconcerting.
It's not really creeping up. And if you go to the county dashboard, you can see that the percentage of hospital beds being used for COVID is 7%. It's not of the entire number of beds. You're just
The
stating
thinking is, though, Casey,
just
that
wrong.
with the cold weather coming, flu season coming, and holidays coming, that people are letting their guard down. So they're just being cautious. And nothing has happened yet, Casey, so don't ring
You're
the
not
bell
looking at
till
the
it
science, Susan. The numbers don't support you.
And you hate this.
We got to keep going on because COVID's going to be with us, and the election is in 5 days. Now we're going to move into our election coverage, and because of the unusual shape of the congressional districts, we have 3 districts, congressional districts, that all touch Montgomery County. So are there going to be any surprises in these races? Sam?
Sarbanes, he's my man. If he can't do it, no one can.
Yeah.
Jamie, he's so good. I think these races are going to stay exactly as they are. The seats will not change an iota.
Laurie, we have a delegate, Neil Parrott, running against David Tyrone, who's barely known in Western Maryland. So does he have a chance of winning? He's from Frederick, I believe.
No, he is from, oh shoot, I forgot the name of
It
it.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, anyway, he is not from, he lived in Montgomery County though at one time and grew up here. He is trying to get 35% of the vote in Montgomery County, that he thinks if he reaches that, he'll win. And I think he's got a great chance because he's got a campaign manager. He has plenty of flyers going out right now at all the early voting centers. He's got an active campaign. He's been over the overpasses with sign waving every week for months now. People know who he is, and I think that we might be surprised with a win, and David Tyrone will be surprised too.
Susan, I don't want to ignore the ballot questions. The 4 ballot questions are very important in this election. Last week we had the author of question A, Andrew Friedson, on our show to talk about it. Of the competing ballot questions A and B, which one is going to pass?
A.
And is that?
I think that there is such unified opposition to B from across the board in the county with varying groups, and I don't think of them, and therefore B will last, but I don't think of it as A or B or C or D. They are 4 different ones. The Washington Post says vote against all of them and just get it over with, but if anything is certain in this election, B will lose.
Okay.
And then
Sam, I want to talk to you about the other 2 questions. They really are, they may be distinct, but they are the same issue, which is whether or not the county council should be reformed in its makeup. So will C or D pass?
Casey, as far as I'm concerned, they should stay the same. I hope neither one of them passes. But if I had to pick one, I would go for keeping the status quo and adding 2 in-district seats.
Is that because you just want to see more money into the county council, spend more money by having two more guys up there with their staffs and everything?
No,
what do they bring to the table, Sam? What do those 2 more seats bring to the table?
Well, Casey, I started off by saying I'd like it to remain the same. We have an unusual circumstance where we have residents on the council who live in one geographic area, Tacoma Park, and are getting a lot of blame for not representing other parts of the county, which they're supposed to do, especially at-large guys. But I think the at-large guys represent us well. I've traveled all over the county for a lot of hearings, for a lot of meetings, and a lot of discussions, and I think the at-large guys do a great job, and I'd like the status quo to stay the same.
You know, the issue about question D, Laurie, is a question of fairness. There's a sense that Up County is not fairly represented because they have no voice, that everything is controlled by the Down County Crescent. And doesn't this sense of fairness play into the question D and gives it a real chance of winning this time?
If you show the map to people where 70% of the people live north of the Beltway and they're only have 2 people representing them on the county council right now, it's so easy to sell that. Unfortunately, the county council has made it very difficult for it to pass, and I hope that it does pass. But they added the question C, and they made the question D very difficult for people to want to vote, because they make it sound like you're going to only vote for one instead of 5 people now. So that's, why, that's going to make people think, oh, I don't want that. That's not what the original question was supposed to be. So it's unfortunately they've done everything they can to fight it, and I hope that the grassroots effort, which has been tremendous, will show success, and that they will pass question D.
I would recommend that just vote, if you don't want to vote against all of them, vote against B and D. They would do harm to our county. And what I think I would say to people who are concerned about the people down county, too many of them, get out and vote, get good candidates, and there'll be changes next time.
Don't you think it's discriminatory to the people in the up county that they have to run in at-large elections, and the cost is
what? So do people down county.
This is voter suppression that you're supporting, Susan.
Oh, it is not voter suppression.
Germantown had the highest. Can I say something?
Finish it up.
Yeah, Germantown had the highest attendance on the first day of early voting. That's a huge sign that they're not happy and they're coming out to vote.
When we come back from this short break, it's time for predictions about the presidential election. Stay tuned. And welcome back. Now that the undercard is out of the way, let's dive into the main event. In addition to our panel of experts, we are welcoming former 21 This Week pundit and the mouth of the South, Jerry Cave, to provide additional commentary. Jerry's going to be with us on audio line because down in Louisianna, where he now resides, he was affected by Hurricane Zeta and his internet was knocked out. So welcome to the show, Jerry.
Thank you very much. And I will speak to you in English and not Cajun French. So if I stutter, that's my adjustment.
Okay. Thanks for the warning, Jerry. It's axiomatic that if there's an incumbent in office, that voters are asked to vote for or against the incumbent. But elections aren't just about that. They're about policies. They're about the economy, national security, taxes, race relations, COVID, and even judges. But in this election, it's also a question as to whether our form of government as a constitutional republic can survive the challenges it now faces. Sam, will this election turn on personalities or policies?
This election is going to turn on 2 or 3 points. Number one on the hit parade is going to be COVID. I think COVID is absolutely buried. Number 2 is the economy. While the economy did great during his first 3 years in office, it has been tanking. We still have people out at work. We still have people that need jobs. It's very, very important. And then finally, the bare bones fact that he's done a terrible job as leader of this country. I think that Biden's going to win in a landslide.
Well, Sam, you must not have seen that the third quarter growth grew by 33%. So I guess he's doing a better job than you think on the economy.
That well may be true, but if you look at the beginning of the stock market and the end of last year, we're 2 to 3 points behind.
Well, we've had a little pandemic. Laurie.
Opposite of Sam. We will do much better if we have Donald Trump based on his policies. History will look at his policies on normalizing relations with the Middle East. They'll also look at his appointing judges, 3 judges during his term, his first term, by the way. But what people will be voting for are what's in their pockets. And they have 6.9% more median income in 2019. And if you look at how strong 2019 was, people don't realize how much worse of a situation we would be in if we had a bad economy in 2019. We are so fortunate to have had Trump as our president in 2019, or I don't know where we would be at this time. We are extremely lucky to vote for Trump, and he will win by landslide.
Thank you, Laurie. Susan.
Okay, we talked about the economy. I want to remind everyone that in the last 3 years under Obama, there were 1.5 million jobs created more than in the first 3 years of Trump. That is a big factor that people tend to overlook. And Trump was given the biggest series, the longest number of years with jobs growth than any other president, and he's bombed it. And I find it interesting we talk about judges, because up until Donald Trump, we didn't talk about judges in elections, because that is a separate form of government and it should not be political. And when you talk about judges, the thing that I think we need to remember is that of the 50 federal judges that were appointed by Trump, not one was Black. This is no longer a representative government, and Trump is going to lose.
Thank you, Susan. Jerry Cave, your opportunity now to weigh in.
Well, it's very simple. There's two ways you can make a prediction: hard data and soft data. Soft is all this nonsense polling by media companies that are hostile to Trump. Why would you believe their anti-Trump results when they were dead wrong last time? The only group that has been accurate last time was Trafalgar. They got Pennsylvania and Michigan, and they show that Trump is winning, forecasted to win Arizona and Michigan. Game over. Because, and now we have let me finish.
Well,
we now have hard data. The hard data is in the early voting, and it's over. Trump has won.
Thank you, Jerry. You know, Susan, one of the issues that hasn't been talked about is about the unrest that's occurred in our country over this past summer. And downtown Washington already is being boarded up, anticipating that mostly peaceful protests. Now, is there going to be rioting regardless of whom is declared the winner of this election?
No, there won't be. It's part of the problem in DC right now has to do with yet another Black man who was shot. And there are neighborhoods concerned about that. But if you look at the overall city, the city is not being boarded up, Casey, like you think. And there are some people boarding up, but it is not going to be a Boilermaker. There is not here, maybe other places, but not in DC.
Laurie.
You know, I think that we are going to have there are people that are a little scared right now, and they're out there buying guns and learning how to use a gun. I think there is some fear out there because there is violence going on, and it's with a Trump administration. He is for the law. He believes in policemen. I think if we support our police, you know, I think the side of Republicans is where we need to, where I think people are going to vote for on that side versus what's going on in Portland and everywhere else.
Thank you, Laurie. Sam, we're going to see some violence?
No, I don't think we're going to see violence, but I want to pick up on what Jerry said. No, the soft and the hard. But right now, the trends, I think, are more important. And let's look at the vote going into Florida. I think Florida is dead even with the momentum going towards Biden. Biden wins Florida. This race is over. Biden wins.
Okay, Jerry, 30 seconds. We got a couple more questions for this segment.
Sam, sharpen up your cutlery to eat some crow next week, my brother. I love you, but that's what I'm serving you. The metrics are in the Black vote. Hillary lost because she didn't get enough Black votes.
Jerry. Let's look. I want to move on
to the
last question. Laurie, which candidate ran a better campaign?
Trump by far. I mean, the enthusiasm that he brings when he comes to rallies is infectious. And then when you look at, you know, everyone just quiet, you hear a little bit of clapping behind it with Biden. So, you know, definitely Trump.
All right, we got to keep these answers short. Sam, who ran the better campaign?
Well, I'm going to pick up upon what Laurie said. Trump certainly is infectious. Every rally that he has attended has increased the amount of COVID people getting sick, as well as hospitalizations. He's done a terrible job.
Susan.
Joe Biden had the better campaign because his message was unified, and he has a variety of surrogates out there speaking also, and the message is love over hate.
Jerry, you get to wrap it up.
It's very simple. Donald Trump has outworked Biden, and Donald Trump's staff has outworked their staff. They've knocked on more doors, and they've reached more people with the echo out of their rallies. There's no question of who ran a better campaign? The winner.
All right, so exit question, and you've got to have a one-word answer here. Who wins the election? Sam, starting with you.
Biden.
Laurie.
Trump.
Susan.
Bye, Don.
Jerry.
America.
Oh, love that.
Jerry, when we come back from this short break, parting shots. And welcome back. Now with parting shots, Sam Statland.
Fellow voters here in Maryland, this race for us is over. But this is a very, very important race. I want you to start calling all of your friends in Texas and Florida and Pennsylvania and encourage them to vote. Get out and vote. Take that ballot, drop it in a box. Don't mail it, drop it in a box, and let's push Biden over the top.
Thank you, Sam. Laurie Halverson.
I could not have been more impressed with Amy Coney Barrett when she was being questioned. What a woman, a family woman with 7 children. I am just amazed by her. So I'm so glad to see her on the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Laurie. Susan Heltemes, your parting shot.
Although Donald Trump touts that he has the support of Putin in Russia, Xi in China, and Kim Jong-un in North Korea, Americans are going to vote for Biden. He has scientists, military leaders, and more Republicans than you can shake a stick at who have come out to support him. And for the first time, the New England Journal of Medicine endorsed someone in 182 years. They endorsed Biden. The USA Today, for the first time, endorsed a president, and it's Joe Biden. The other thing is Trump is out there with his family. He's getting lawsuits from every musician whose music he plays. Biden is unifying our country. Go Biden.
Thank you, Susan. Jerry Cave, your parting shot.
To paraphrase that great political commentator Gomer Pyle, surprise, surprise, October surprise. The election is over, and we know because of the early vote. The Black community is giving the weakest support to Biden in the last 75 years. Donald Trump breached the blue wall in 2016, and now he's dented their black wall. He not only is going to win 20, he is going to win 24 with his replacement. This is not the October surprise you expected, but that's why they call it a surprise.
Right, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. And I want to thank the panel for being here. You know, everyone has a different reason for voting, and everyone has a different, unique perspective on the president. The newspaper in Tacoma, Washington, came out and said that they supported President Trump despite what they considered his unreasonable behavior and unreasonable personality. They listed a number of reasons why they supported President Trump, from his foreign policy accomplishments, his economic policy accomplishments, and for many of the reasons that they felt that President Trump, despite his personality, was the better choice. So it's very interesting to see how people look at this race and decide who to vote. But I hope in the end that America is the winner. So for 21 this week, I want to thank the panel. I want to thank the audience for tuning in each and every week to Montgomery County's hardest hitting political talk show.